to spy on their conversation, well, I just figured out an automation and action to exactly do this. Ingredient one is that you actually need a database to send the data to. So the way you communicate is you're going to create a personal access token and then give it all the scopes. When you go ahead and create the database and you're like, okay, what are the parameters that I need to go to this database? You're going to use ChatGPT and you're basically going to ask itself like, hey, give me all the fields that I need to do, copy and paste this and drop it into Omni, and it's going to go ahead and create the database and all the fields that you need. Then you're going to take your access token, you're going to go back to ChatGPT and you're going to go ahead and authenticate it, drop in the key here, make sure it's API key, and then put bearer. You're going to ask GPT and say, hey, I need you to create the code for me to automatically send the fields that you created from the database and take the GPT conversation and automatically send it to my database. You're going to go ahead and drop it in here. Basically, when you drop in the information, you send the GPT, you're basically going to have, it's going to prompt and say, hey, go ahead and confirm. It's going to call upon and send the data to Airtable. Voila.
Okay, so this video right here got over 900 plus views. It's more views than I probably get, so help a girl out, like, comment, and subscribe. But what it's telling me and what it's signaling to me is that people want to learn how to spy on GPT conversations, of course, with permission. And I'm super excited to walk you through how to actually go ahead and build just that. But before we get started, my name is Tina. I help creators automate their marketing and just automate their business in general. And I am here to help you. So with that being said, go ahead and check out in the description my favorite tools that I'm recommending and all the templates that I usually have in these videos that you can get access to as well. So with that being said, let me show you how to spy on your GPT conversations and build the steps to do that. All right, so let's kind of talk a little bit about the ingredients and think about this together. So, why do we need a personal access token? Well, we need to be able to communicate from ChatGPT to your specific database. So, these two things right here are going to communicate with each other. We're also going to need to create a database. So, this is where ChatGPT is going to help you create all the fields you need in that particular database. So, Omni as an example, which is Airtable's AI. Then we're going to have to authenticate the API key, code fields, and permission. Okay, all these things. So let's kind of draw the flow and the steps, right? So you have your GPT. And the way that this GPT is going to work is that a user will go ahead and communicate with these GPT, right? As this user is communicating with the GPT, they're going to be prompted and saying, hey, can I have your permission to put data into a database, right? And so what they're going to get the option is confirm, which is also known as yes, or deny, which is also known as no, right? And so if it's yes, they're going to go ahead and actually send the data via an API call by using the personal access token in Airtable and send it automatically to your database. Now, why is this important? Why do you even want to be able to spy on your GPT conversations? Well, let's kind of look a little bit at the use cases right here, right? With GPTs, it is a great way for you to train a customized GPT and send it to your audience, right? But here's the thing. If you send the GPT to your audience, and let's just say like you send it to over 1,000 plus people, that's a lot of data that you could be having on the people who are using it with their permission, of course, right? Because we're going to go through a permission-based approach. And so what this can allow you to do is instead of having a GPT maybe behind an email sign up, what you could do is you can have a person have a taste of your world via the GPT. So you're using the GPT as a lead magnet. And as people use your lead magnet and they love it, then that can be a way for you to actually have those conversations turn to leads because people may want to have permission and actually send you more information so you can collect data on the people who are interacting with the GPTs. That's one example. The second example, which I think is actually really helpful here, is creating a GPT course assistant. Now, let's just think about this from this perspective here, where let's just say you have a course. Right. And so I have tons of courses as a digital product creator myself. And one of the challenges with courses is that there's not really any type of live support, right? And so sometimes you get tons of emails on courses and you want a way for you to actually answer people's questions, but maybe not be online when you answer those questions. So this is maybe where you would use a GPT, train it on the transcripts of all your courses, and have that GPT be able to troubleshoot and answer the questions and the needs of the student, right? That could be a great way. But let's just say you want to have a way for you to actually collect questions from, like, I want to know the questions that people are asking of this GPT. Then you would actually want to be able to collect that data, right? And so what I think what we can do today in this conversation is let's just try to think about, like, let's try to create like a bare bones. Like, the use cases I gave you is like high level, would love to get there, right? But how do we get to a simple conversation where we can create this GPT and automatically connect it to this database? Well, let's kind of go ahead and just walk through it together and do it. So let's get started. All right, so let's kind of go ahead and do this live, right? I've never done this before, in the sense of like, I've done this before, but we're going to just run with this example live because why not? So one of the things that I wanted to ask it was, can we create a lead intake GPT? This GPT is going to have customers come through, and I want it to be basically be the first line where it asks the name, the address, the problem that they're having, and appointment times that they're looking for. Please note that we're only open Monday through Friday, right? And so it gave me this long output, and I was like, this is a little bit too much. Just give me the GPT instructions. So it's giving me the GPT instructions here, which I think we can have. But one of the other ingredients that I mentioned is I need to be able to connect the GPT to the Airtable database. But in order for me to connect it, I need to pre-build this database, right? So let's kind of go ahead and ask it. So I want to hook this up to the customer. No, I want to send the responses to an Airtable database. Give me the details of what I need to input into Omni to create the database. All right, let's kind of just go and see what happens. All right, okay. Date fields are long text. I like long text. All right. Can you kind of see that's like showing me in some ways how to do it? All right, so give me the instructions that I need to copy and paste into Omni. And Omni, as an FYI, is Airtable's AI, so you can communicate with it and you can actually just share information. All right, let's kind of see what's going to happen. All right. I think these are the instructions, so all right, let's kind of go ahead and get this started. All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to go into Airtable, select create. We're going to go ahead and build an app with Omni. Let's see. Let's try this. All right. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and copy all this. And let's see what happens. All right, build it for me. All right, let's give it a couple seconds and we'll come right back. Actually, we're going to be right back because this looks so cool. Like, look at how it's building this database for me. Isn't that like awesome? So cool. All right, let's see it. Interestingly enough, it's taking a step further. So we have a data input, but it's actually creating an interface. All right, previewing this interface. Like it. I don't think I need all this, but it's just good to see. And probably we can fix that. But again, I don't think we need this. I think what we can do is let's kind of go ahead and actually have the lead intake here. So we can see that it actually created a database for us where it has the name, the address, the problem, appointment, dates, time zone, notes, and submitted at, and all these things. All right. So let's kind of take this a step back. What I'm going to do, and what I usually do, I'm going to zoom out, is we're going to go ahead and take a screenshot of this. So let's go ahead and take a screenshot and get this all started. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to take this screenshot. All right. I created the database. Now look at the image to see the fields that are created. And give me the schema that I need to output. Give me a schema that I need to use to create an action with this GPT to send data to this Airtable base. Okay, so while it's doing that, what we need to do is we need to take it a step further. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to get our personal access token. So I will go ahead and be right back. Okay, so how do we get to our integrations hub? Well, in the settings, you are going to have an option to actually have your builders hub. Now, let me kind of go ahead and show you what I mean. So we go to this, and then we're going to go ahead and go to builders hub. And then when we go to Builders Hub, you are going to go to Personal Access Tokens. So in order for you to go to Personal Access Tokens, you're going to go ahead and create your token. So you're going to go ahead and select this, create your token. And in the video that we showed earlier, we're going to give it a name. So we're going to give this access token as lead intake GPT. And then personally, I just do all the scopes because I don't want to limit it. So we're going to go ahead and just continue and just add all these scopes. And the way you know you've added all the scopes is if you go ahead and you have add scope, there's nothing left, then you added the scope. So we're going to go ahead and add base. And so we're going to have this base be lead intake because we only want to give it access to one database. So we're going to do lead intake. So you're going to go ahead and select create token, get the token, and make sure you save that in a notes file somewhere, and then you'll be able to work with it. All right, so going back to our ChatGPT conversation, it looks like it went ahead and created this information for us, which is really great. So it says for us to actually take it a step further and replace it with our base ID. And maybe perhaps, does it say table? I don't necessarily think so, which is fine. All right, so if you're not familiar with your base ID, the simplest way that we're going to do this is we are going to do lead intake. And we're just going to go ahead and copy the URL. And I'm going to say, hey, take this. This is the URL. Input the table and the base ID and give me the new schema updated. All right. Cool. So we got the base ID, extracted the table ID. Now you can do this, but you have AI to do it. Why would you do extra steps? All right. So it looks like it's going to send it, and we're going to go ahead and go from here. All right. So now let's kind of go ahead and see what this looks like and actually put it in practice. So what we're going to do is we're going to go here, and then we're going to go to GPTs. We're going to go ahead and explore. And then what we're going to go ahead is we're going to create a GPT. Okay, let me go ahead and grab the instructions. All right, so now all we're going to do is just send the data and copy and paste what ChatGPT helped us create. And we're going to create our GPT. We created our personal access token from what you've seen. We have the instructions ChatGPT created. We have the action schema. And now we're going to go ahead and build it together. So let's kind of go ahead and do lead intake. I'm going to go ahead and copy these instructions right here. All right. Fun fact, by the way, when you are doing this, it is recommended, in my personal opinion, to not, if you are going to do this and create a GPT, to not put up knowledge files. And the reason why I say this is because if you were to have knowledge files, what ChatGPT is probably going to do because I ran into this error, is it's going to look at the knowledge files first before it runs any actions. And so if you're having knowledge files and you're wondering like, why are my actions not running? Well, it's because you have knowledge files in there. So my recommendation, don't put knowledge files if you're going to use a ChatGPT to transfer over data. So let's kind of go ahead and go through here. I don't think I really need any of these actions. So we're going to go ahead and how do I create actions? You create new actions here. All right, so it's going to say schema, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to have the authentication and we have our API key here, right? So for our API key, we're going to go ahead, select API key, and then we're going to go ahead and copy that over. All right, save. Oh, wait. Hold up one hot second. I did that too fast. We actually need to put bearer, and then we're going to go ahead and do that. So what we did is we have API key, the API key here, and then we did bearer. All right, save it. All right. So continuing on from this, now we're going to go ahead and take our schema that we just created. So let's kind of go ahead and grab that schema. Copy code that we just created. It looks like it has all this. Let's just try it. Let's see what happens. Cannot find a valid URL in servers. All right, so let's try this again. Literally, we're just going to build in public right here. Let's see. Whenever I come into issues, I literally like just copy and paste the problem that I have here. All right, so after many trial and error, this is literally what exactly happened. So just reviewing the conversation. So I saw this and then I realized it gave me an error again. And so I was like, again, I just copy and paste, put the error into here. And then it went ahead and redid itself. And it looks like I'm not getting any error right here, but it's actually creating an action for me to create the lead record. So let's kind of go ahead and ask, give me test data for this GPT, because now we're going to go ahead and test it live. All right, let's see. I think this is good enough. I don't need all this data. We don't need all that data. We just need one example. All right, so let's kind of go ahead and let's just say, oh, I actually forgot one more thing. Let's add a second step right here. We want to create a little conversation starter. So our conversation starters are going to be start intake. All right, let's kind of go with that and see what happens, because we're building it live. All right, we're just going to do John Doe. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4 Lane Avenue, Chicago, Illinois. All right. I have a leaky faucet. Oh, well, spelled wrong. Let's see. Oh, it corrected me. What are two preferred workday times? Okay. 9 to 11 on Mondays. All right. Yes. All right. Well, actually, it looks like we need to troubleshoot because it's not giving the action. So that. All right, so it gave me instructions, which is nice, but I'm seeing this right part right here. So I just want to make sure and that we're good to go. My action name is please update the instructions to call upon that action once I get the customer data. And if you're wondering how I'm able to get to that name convention of like, how did I get that? If you went back to your GPT and you wanted to see, oh, well, my GPTs. Okay, We're going to click here, configure. If you're wanting to see again what the name of the action is, go to the bottom where it says actions and then API Airtable. And then you're going to go ahead and you can see the available actions to create lead records. So that's an example right here. All right, so let's kind of see these instructions. All right. Pass the fields. All right, call the lead record action. All right, let's see this. Let's see it live in action and do it together. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and update the instructions to make sure that the instructions are actually sending the data. So we're going to go ahead and copy this code. Not really code, but copy the instructions. And we're going to run it again. So let's start intake. And, honestly, when you're doing this, this is why ChatGPT is your assistant. It's not a perfect solution, but it is honestly going to get you 90% there. You just kind of figure out along the way. 123 Lane Avenue. It's asking me the city and state. Pretty cool. Love that. Chicago. That's my name. All right. Leaky faucet. Let's just do 9 to 10 a.m. Monday. All right. Yes. All right. Okay. Look at that. Seems like it's going to work. Let's see. Confirm. Please let it work. I think it worked. All right. Let's go ahead and see it. So we're going to go to lead intake, leads. There's the moment in truth, ladies and gentlemen. Look at that. It had John Doe. It put it in there. Just you see 24 seconds ago. As you can see, it works. All right, so recap. What exactly did I do? And how the heck did I do it? Well, if you're going to ask that question, rewatch this video. But let's go ahead and create this. And then one quick thing, actually. If you want to share this GPT with anyone, you need to create a privacy policy. How do you actually create a privacy policy? I'm not a lawyer, so I can't give you that action. I can't give you that advice. However, I believe there is information somewhere here. Let's see. Okay, so here's how you add the privacy policy. You're going to go to actions, your Airtable actions, and then at the bottom, they're going to have a privacy policy. Now, feel free to create your privacy policy. Probably need a lawyer to create the privacy policy, or you can use, I'm not even going to suggest what you can use. I'm not a lawyer. But if you want to share out this GPT, you do need a privacy policy in place in order to share it out. So that's just one thing. But if you only want this GPT for yourself, then you actually don't need it. So you can go ahead and save that as an example. But a little bit of a recap of what we actually did. Like, what does this actually mean? How the hell did we do all this? Well, one of the things that we mentioned from the get-go, let's kind of review all this together. From the get-go, we knew that we needed to create this workflow. And so this workflow really looks like, let me just pull it up. 1 second. As much as I love technology, sometimes I even have technical issues. All right, now we got our bearings together. So just to recap of what we did, we created this workflow where this is the end scenario. We have a person go to the GPT, and then when that person, has information, has a conversation with GPT, they're going to be asked a permission to send the data to a database. You just saw that that was created and that worked. Now, the reason why it's permissions based is because you saw that ChatGPT asked if you want to send the data over. If a person says yes, then it got automatically sent to the database. But what did we do to get there as a recap? Well, one, we went ahead and created the instructions for the GPT, right? What is the use case that you need? And then have ChatGPT create the instructions for the GPT that you want created, right? Second, what we did is we actually needed to create a database. Again, have a conversation with ChatGPT to create all the fields and all the things you need in that database to execute on the instructions. We did that in our conversation with ChatGPT. And then you use Omni, you go into Airtable, copy and paste the instructions, put it into Airtable, go from there. Third thing we did is once we got the final output of that database, just to validate that everything is done right, if you will, I went ahead and took a screenshot of the database and I went ahead and just uploaded it to ChatGPT and I was like, hey, here's the database that Omni created for me. Make sure that the instructions are good to go and make sure that everything is good to go. Lastly, what we did is we created the schema. Now, schema, in my opinion, is just the actions that we are doing. You need kind of like code, if you will, even though I'm not a coder. I had ChatGPT create the code for me to identify what are the actions that I need to take. And because it has my fields within Omni, it's able to execute the actions with the correct fields because I uploaded the picture, right? Once I'm able to do that, then I'm just, as you saw in my lovely interactions, troubleshoot, right? So if you are just copying and pasting, the instructions, and then you see that was somewhat working, and then you're like, okay, I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste the schema, and then I see that that's working, but like, hey, maybe I got a little bit of error. Again, my troubleshooting is literally I just copy and paste the error, put it into ChatGPT, and test back and forth until I get it right? And so the way that you're going to get it right, you see no errors, and then you run it with live data, or I guess in this case, test data. And so you have a conversation with ChatGPT and you just see if it's working, right? If it's working, great. You did a great job. If it's not working, you take the error codes that you're getting from ChatGPT and you continue your conversation with your regular conversation within ChatGPT, right? My point in showing you this is that A, it's possible to have, permission to spy on your GPT conversations, but B, me building this live with you is really showcasing the power of just like troubleshooting and figuring it out together on the fly. This is exactly what I did, and I'm really hoping that you like this. So please do me a hot, quick favor. I'm trying to reach 1,000 subscribers, so please do the hot, quick favor of subscribing, and tell me your favorite part. I don't see many people talk about this and show this type of solution, but I'm really excited to show you this. So yeah, subscribe, make sure you get the tools recommendations and all the templates that I recommend for this, and I'll see you